You guys can see the title. I stand behind it. It's not bait. It's not a joke. Destiny's getting canceled, all right? And the reason being this time is that he supposedly had an intimate relationship with some women. And what he would do is when he would film intimate moments with these ladies, record them, he would share some of these with other women he was approaching. In one case, he shared it with a 19-year-old e-girl who he had never met in his life. And he was flirting with her and shared videos of himself sleeping with another person without their consent. Essentially, the 19-year-old gets hacked and that stuff goes public. The person who was in the videos finds out, loses her mind, files a lawsuit asking Destiny for a huge sum of money. And then, it comes out thereafter that Destiny apparently had also recorded a lot of other women while they were in his apartments without their consent. So this has kind of gotten bigger and bigger since. We're back. Me specifically, where's Preach? Preach busy, you know what I mean? Out there doing gay shit with his wife. Me, I'm here for you guys right now. I was up in Africa. Now, if you think I'm gonna take my time away from my people so I can go spend time on the internet to talk about white on white violence, you are bugging. And if you guys are wondering where Preach is, aside from doing gay shit with his wife, we both agreed that there's only one woman that each of us are going to defend in our lives. For him, it's his wife. For me, it's a streamer named Destiny, and we got to do our job. So this is my responsibility. I'm gonna handle her. Now, some of you guys know, Destiny is a friend of mine. Okay, and you might be confused why I decided to come out dripped out for my friend's cancellation. You know what I'm saying? Looking kind of fresh. And again, you fucking idiots! This is a fairly serious matter, and people wanted to hear my opinions. And I'll be honest with you, for all the bad things that are happening to Destiny, I don't feel bad. The reason why I don't feel bad, and this might surprise some of you because some of you don't know this, me and Destiny have spoken about his dating behavior for a very long time. We've talked about it on stream, off stream, and I've always been very vocal about the fact that I think he's very fucking dysfunctional with how he handles his dating life, with how he prioritizes pleasure over everything else. And I think the root of a lot of these issues in this whole situation is that he prioritizes his own selfish desires over other people's well-being, over what's good for his business and his career. And now it's costing him more. It cost him already some things in the past, and he's always been very much in denial about how it affects him negatively. And now it's costing him even more. And I'm, to this day, not entirely sure if he's ready to really acknowledge the impact it has on him.
Do you think I'm self-destructive?
Yeah. If you engage in hedonism, I would say you're self-destructive. I say the same thing about Destiny. I think he can be self-destructive, and I don't think you would entirely disagree.
So wait,
I completely disagree. I don't think I'm self-destructive at all.
Oh, hold up. I'm just actually curious. You don't think that to some degree your hedonism doesn't bite you in the ass?
Nope. I think I have a really good engagement with most of my hobbies. I think I do it pretty well. I think that my mental functioning is very high. I think my career is incredibly successful. There are parts of my life that I can improve, but I think that people look at some of the standard markers for trouble and they, for some reason, project a ton of stuff onto me, but I think I'm living like one of the healthiest, fullest lives that I possibly could be.
Constantly having poor relationships with women over a long period of time, or in other situations, STDs, different things like that. Eventually that hedonism comes back to bite them in the life, and they also recognize they could have been investing that time a lot better.
So wait, what do you ask us about this? Like, what was your idea of this?
Yeah, it's not like I have like 100 kids and 5 million STDs and like...
No, you just constantly... Okay, I'm not going to talk about it.
Well, you might as well, but no, you drop the accusation, go for it. You just constantly what? Say it. No, say it. No, shut up, Melina, shut up. Let him talk. What do you mean, constantly what?
Hold on.
Anything you do in life that's going to increase like your ability to like have fun or do like crazy stuff or whatever is always going to carry with it like the risk of death, right?
Absolutely.
Like you have no chance of dying by falling out of a plane unless you go skydiving, but that's not an argument against never skydiving.
But it is an argument against maybe skydiving 1,000 times if you don't want to die that way.
Well, if you want to skydive 1,000 times, then fucking skydive 1,000 times. Like, what's wrong? Damn, what happened to all the self-empowerment shit that you guys were talking about earlier?
I mean, it just depends on whether or not you want that outcome. If you're saying like, oh, I don't want this kind of destructive thing, or I don't want to end up dying by skydiving, then maybe don't skydive every other day.
Yeah, but I'm not complaining about that. You guys are. If your lifestyle choices are like, damn, I would never want to deal with like a crazy girl or anything like that, that's totally valid. I think that's totally fine. I accept that that's probably true for most people. But like, I'm okay with the trade-off on that for like all the benefits that I get. I like f***ing a lot of people. I like traveling a lot. I like doing drugs. I like my stream shit. That's like super fun for me. To be like, well, doesn't bad stuff happen sometimes so you shouldn't do it? That doesn't compute to me. Like, I feel like I'm living a super amazing life, and I feel like there's a lot of shit that happens all the time. I understand it might be a lot for some people, but it seems weird to be like, oh, well, I think that you're like secretly like hurting or damaged inside because of some negative outcomes. Like,
or to others, because I think the main thing with this is you have to think about the activity. The activity involves hurting others. Like, even Destiny, as good as he is at what he does, probably can admit he's broken a lot of hearts, he's disappointed a lot of women, he's made a lot of people upset. It's not just how he feels about it. When you involve other people in this kind of pursuit of pleasure, other people get hurt as well. I stand by what I said at the beginning. I don't feel bad for Steven whatsoever, because he knew what he was getting into. He was brazen about it. When he was warned, when he said, hey, this is a bad idea, this is a bad lifestyle, he said, I don't care, I want to have fun. It's fun for me. That's why I like these mentally ill women. That's why I like doing this stuff. That's why I can't keep my dick in my pants. It's because it's fun. Well, I'm like, all right, then. When it fucking inevitably blows up in your face, I'm not going to have no sympathy for you. You can be my friend, my worst enemy. I don't give a fuck. If you engage in behavior repeatedly after you're warned, fuck around and find out. And that's what Steven's doing. But I don't want to make it just sound like a happenstance, a hedonism. That no, some of this stuff is also just morally bad in regards to what he did with recording these women and all this other shit. And if he gets sued for it, he loses money, then it is what it is too. You do the crime, you do the time, right? So no, all these people will be like, oh, Abba, stick by him, he's your friend. I already told y'all. If my friend goes out and murders a bunch of people, I don't give a fuck, send his ass to jail. And if my friend does some fuck shit like what Steven just did and he's gonna lose a bunch of money, I'm not gonna cry, all right? I would tell my friends and I would warn them beforehand, hey, don't do that, don't do that. You go and do it, then, hey man, that's your problem, bro. You didn't listen to me. You're not gonna get my sympathy at this point. Nope. My sympathy is for when a tragedy happens, not when the inevitable does. Yeah, what you're hearing from me right now is disappointment and a bit of anger, but I'm angry at myself. What let me say? You know, if there's anything that this situation and that most of the people in these online spaces have taught me, is that these are not serious people. Their problems are not serious. The way they engage with relationships is not serious. It's a lot of juvenile bullshit. You know, while I was on vacation, I was just hearing glimmers about this stuff. I'm just like, yo, turn that shit off. Because I'll be honest with you, if you touch grass and you hear this stuff, you're like, y'all some fucking losers. You realize, like, this is a story about socially retarded people, mentally ill people, all engaging in sexual behaviors and and they're not ready for it. You know, but I also have to have some humility and admit that I've tethered myself to that world. I entertain, I dipped my toes into it, and you know, having spent some time there, was it a bit entertaining? Sure, but it was entertaining like it was when you go to the zoo and you see a bunch of freak animals do a bunch of circus monkey tricks. And that's it. And now that it's gotten to the point where it's kind of spilling over into real life and you're realizing that these people behind closed doors are doing weird shit, it's time to take a step back and being like, okay, we've had our fun at the zoo. It's closing up. Time to head home. I'm not interested in being part of the act. I'm not interested in being in the enclosure. I'm not interested in befriending any of the other freak animals that they want to bring in. It's just a weird assortment of people. And it's just it's so different than my real life. Like, why am I wasting time with this? This is not beneficial for my business. This is not beneficial for my personal life. I'm not learning anything about social interaction. So I have nothing to gain by being around this. And despite Destiny being my friend, there's a lot of things that I just don't agree with, that I don't want to be associated with. To keep a long story short, for those of you asking, like, all right, well, Abba, what are you going to do going forward? This is a conversation I had with Steven already. I just told him I wouldn't show up on any of his stuff in the future. And I don't think that's that big of a deal, because at the end of the day, he's going to be doing mostly political stuff from now on. So it's probably for the best. But I just don't want to be associated with it. And there's a few different reasons. So I'm going to try to go with it. And I'll kind of just break down everything. But there's a couple things I got to get out the way. One, listen, I might be the only person in this orbit who hasn't fucked one of these women, including Destiny herself. I'm not friends with any of these people. I don't talk to them really offline. So I kind of just keep my distance. And that's generally true for me and most content creators. So you don't see us doing too many collaborations. I don't hang out with these people. This whole idea that I wouldn't criticize Destiny, I mean, I think that's also nonsense. If you spend any time watching debates between me and him, we argue, we yell, we get very animated, we disagree strongly. And there's dozens of debates. So this idea that I wouldn't take a stand if I saw something I didn't like, I think people can't understand why I'd be friends with him, or they can't understand why I would agree with anything he says. And so the only thing in their head is like, okay, it must be friendship or whatever. I don't operate that way. If I disagree with you, Preach is my brother, and I disagree with him every day. So if you don't think I'm not going to disagree with Destiny, you bugging, okay? And there's a lot of content creators who, you know, they thought we was cool, and I disagree with something they said, and now they don't want to talk no more. So the idea that I wouldn't, you know, disagree with someone to avoid burning a bridge, no. I'll deal with anybody. Because at the end of the day, I think what I actually believe is more important to me than maintaining these kinds of cordial relationships. I don't care about having access to these people. That includes Destiny and anybody else. You know, actually, one of the craziest parts about this whole story is the fact that Destiny trusted a 19-year-old Discord lady, okay, named Rose is Coming, with sex tapes of other people in his life. Nigga, if that's not compromised judgment, I don't know what the fuck is, okay? I wouldn't trust a Discord member with my first name, and that shit's public information. He was giving other people sex tape. But if there's one thing that nobody would ever say about Destiny, is that he makes good personal life dating decisions, okay? There's a couple of things that bother me. That's like, and I've said this to Destiny too, like, this dude really has a penchant for going after mentally ill women, okay? Women with like severe depression or just like these kind of like dainty, smart ass, fucking feeble looking, small white women. Like that's his type. And a lot of them got like self-diagnosed BPD or some bullshit. Like he just likes that. I don't know. To me, the fact that there's a pattern with a lot of these girls is a bit weird. And when he's asked why he likes bringing on these self-destructive women in his streams and in his life, he says it's because it's fun. It's fun for him to bring on women who are probably going to, you know, at some point negatively impact his life in a huge way. He knows it's going to be short-lived. He doesn't care because it's fun. That's a moral failing to me, okay? That shows to me that you don't really care about how you affect the other people in your life when these people become atomic bombs who affect everyone in the area. And it tells me that you don't really care that much about your career when you attack, again, who will fuck up things in your area. And this comes down to the thing about like, oh, you know, if everyone consents, it's fine. But it's not. If you know that the people you're going to be involved with are only short-term partners, and you constantly see the after effect of most of your hookups and your interactions leaving a trail of broken hearts and disappointed people, that's a moral failing. Sure, it's not illegal, it's not criminal, but I can still look at that behavior and like, yo, you just spend time dating these women and it's just hurting all of them. You have no intentions of committing to most of them. This is all fun, you know, it's nothing responsible. You're an irresponsible person, and that reflects on your character. You know, with this whole situation, I don't think Steven shared this because he thought it was okay to share. I personally believe, this was my theory, that he shared this because he just didn't care and he didn't think that the other person would ever find out. And that to me is almost worse, because it shows that you don't care about the people you slept with and who shared that intimate moment with you and recorded it. And it shows to me that if you are going to be able to avoid the consequences of it, you'll say and do things behind closed door that are just unbecoming. And if I'm your friend and I see you do that to your other people that you slept with and you call friends, then I can only imagine that even for me, I might not be safe and I can't trust you. You know, and it's a shame that this came from a hack, but regardless, what it reveals to me personally is like, I could never afford to trust this person with personal stuff that's really close to me or dear to me, because if they think they can get away with it, no one else is gonna find out. They might just share that shit. And Steven might watch this and disagree strongly, but the evidence is not in your favor. And I can't rely on what you're gonna say. I'm gonna rely on your past and your history. And what I see is another moral failing where it's like, when no one's watching, you're not doing the right thing. You can massage it however you want. It's a shitty thing to share a sex tape, but it's not the worst thing. I'm sorry. That's fucking garbage behavior, okay? It just is. Call it a spade. It's garbage behavior. Don't mush it over because you like your favorite streamer. Don't mush it over because you think he's important politically. It's garbage behavior. And like the reason why he's doing it too, it's so he can pillow talk a fucking 19-year-old. I was like, it's not that hard to bag a teenager. Pause. That sounds crazy, but you know what I mean. It's not. And you shared like it is such a weird form of like, I don't know what the fuck that shit is. And one thing he said, I think he said something like, you know, that was me a couple years back. I'm on Vyvanse now, which Vyvanse I think is like some kind of drug, ADHD. I don't know. He's like, I'm on Vyvanse now. I'm really just focused on political stuff. I want to stay away from the drama. It's like, I didn't realize they made a, you know, finding God moment for druggies. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how some people do a bunch of fuck shit for their whole life, and all of a sudden they go to church once and they're like, I found God. Like it absolves all the bullshit that they've just done. I don't know. It was such a weird way. Like when you're being said that you're doing a bunch of foul shit and you've hurt a bunch of people, and like mentioning the fact that you're on Vyvanse and you're a changed person. It's just like, I don't know. Something about it just seemed off to me. And it just didn't seem like someone who was really repenting or felt some type of way about what they did. It just felt like, it made me think of Sneeko, you know? Sneeko's doing all this like goofy ass red pill shit, and all of a sudden he finds Allah and everything's just forgiven. All the bad messaging, all the people he insulted, never apologized for none of that. None of that. It's just like, I moved on. It was just weird. To move on to the career stuff, like, listen, man. How do we say this? If you have political aspirations, you just can't behave like this. One of the weirdest things that Steven had was an anti-misogyny arc, right? He felt like there was too much misogyny in his audience and whatever. So he's like, he was trying to shape them up, and he was banning people and banning certain kind of messaging. All the while, my guy, you were fucking a bunch of the women that you worked with. You would bring women on stream and then fuck them within a short amount of time. It's like you're reinforcing a lot of the stereotypes that a lot of this misogyny comes from. There's a certain level of hypocrisy there that just makes like the whole thing just seems like such a flamboyant joke. And personally, like that's actually one of the big reasons I don't want to be associated with like the platform is I don't like the idea that we're normalizing, you know, someone bringing in a bunch of small content creators that are women, fucking them, right? And then when that fallout inevitably happens, like just cast them away. Like it's a really weird dynamic. And I started getting comments from people like, oh, you f***ed this girl in the orbit. And you, meanwhile, I ain't done shit. But because Steven is just so flagrant with how much he's just gooning it up and he can't keep his dick in his pants and he just wants to be a hedonist, even me being close to that by proximity, I start to, you know, have that reputation. And it's just, I don't want to be associated with that. You know, I'm happy with the fact that I work with women, and I'm happy with the fact that it's professional. And that needs to be a standard that we set for more people, because I hate the idea that I just show up on screen with a woman and it's automatically sex. But can I really be mad at an audience for thinking that when I hang out with Steven, who literally fucks pretty much everybody he works with? Like, how can I be that mad, right? So, I don't know. There's a lot about the way that he kind of goes about his work and his personal life that makes it very difficult to want to be close to it. And if you notice, most of the people who are going to choose to stand by him are people who have a lot to lose if they're not with him. I have nothing to gain from being friends with Steven. I've literally had nothing to gain from the moment that we've known each other. Like, don't get me wrong. Steven's done a lot of good things for me personally on the low in terms of behind closed doors and helped me out with certain things. And I'm always going to be appreciative of that. And, you know, in that regards, he's been very stand up for me. And I'm grateful. But professionally, like outside of that, it's been pretty bad. Like a lot of people want to stop working with me. A lot of people want to complain about the fact. And I never cared about any of it. Why? Because I just like Steven. I saw him as a friend, so I was cool with it. I didn't care if people wanted to stop talking to me. I didn't care if fans got mad. I didn't care if people questioned. It didn't bother me at all. But when he engages in like actual behavior that I think is reprehensible, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? This is fucking stupid. And his response is, I like to have fun. I don't care. Then it's just got to be a come point where I'm like, all right, then I just got to cut you off because your definition of fun is fucking toxic. You know, and unfortunately, we live in a world where optics matter. How you carry yourself matters. The things you say, the choice of words, the way you carry in your personal life, the way the drama spills out, it matters. And I don't understand how Steven can really say that he wants to be a serious political advocate if he doesn't want to manage his personal life in any way that's serious. Like, why should the DNC involve you in anything that they want when your personal life looks like a fucking train wreck that's going to be bad PR for all of them? Why should anyone want to spend time debating you on these bigger platforms if all you're going to do is bring fucking tarnishing their reputation, right? It's like, if you're serious about this, you should make this sacrifice. And if you can't, then I don't think you really care about the political positions that you claim to care about. Not that deeply. Can't. Because you can't put your dick in your pants. So that's how I feel about this. If y'all wanted to hear my thoughts, there you have it. Yeah. I don't think I got much else to say. Like I said, I won't be appearing on those streams anymore. None of that collaboration stuff. I hope the best for Steven. I hope he fixes his shit, and I hope he does right by the people he hurt. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, this is incredibly disappointing shit. That's all I got to say. Yeah, this water's crazy clear. I'm telling you, this is definitely the best.